This lecture is a review of some fundamentals from binary communications. We'll start with the basic concept of mapping bits to waveforms. So we have logical bits of 0 and 1, and we have to transfer them across a physical medium, so we have to map these logical bits to a waveform, and this is called modulation. One of the simplest forms of binary modulation is known as OOK, or on-off keying. And in this case, it's quite simple. A logical 0 is an absence of a signal. So when the signal is off, during this interval of time, we are transmitting a logical 0. We're transmitting nothing, and we can interpret it at the receiver as being a logical 0. The opposite is when we are transmitting a logical 1. In this case, there is a signal presence. There is amplitude, non-zero amplitude to our signal. If we want to represent this in a mathematical formula, it is given here quite simply. First thing I want to define is this idea of t being the time of a bit interval. So the period of time that a bit lasts. Of course, this is related to the baud rate or the bit rate that we're transmitting. So t is a fundamental concept in digital communications. The other quantity I want to mention here is p of t, and p of t is the waveform. It's whatever the shape of the signal is that we're transmitting. And we'll talk later about how we have many choices and what we will actually be seeing in the laboratory. So based on these definitions, we would say that when we send the signal is S, for the transmission of a logical 0, we send nothing. The amplitude is 0. There is no power. Now when we're sending a logical 1, we're sending this waveform, and A represents the amplitude of that waveform. The waveform is typically normalized to unit energy just for ease of analysis. And the A gives us an idea of the amount of signal power that we're transmitting, for instance. So very simple on-off keying. Now another simple binary modulation is known as BPSK, and this acronym stands for binary phase shift keying. Now this strategy is a little different. We're treating the logical 0 and the logical 1 by modulating the phase of the signal. And in fact, we're choosing exactly opposite phases, and we call this antipodal signaling. So in this case, the mathematical representation for BPSK is given as we see here. So again, we have logical 0, logical 1, only in this case, we'll see that we have APT in both cases, but in the logical 0, it's a negative amplitude, and in the logical 1, it's a positive amplitude. So BPSK, there is always a signal present, whether it's a logical 0 or a logical 1. In this case, it's the sign of the logical signal that tells us which was transmitted, a logical 0 or a logical 1. So having seen the modulation, how we can transmit data, two examples of how we might transmit our data, now let's turn to modeling a communication system. So a communication system transfers information from point A to point B, and of course, if there were no impairments introduced during this transmission, then communications would be easy. But in fact, what happens is we have noise that's added. And so here's a simple block diagram of what happens in a communication system. So on this side, we have the transmission. The transmission is our signal. And again, it's either logical 1 or logical 0 that could be transmitted here. And the impairment we see here is additive noise. And you'll see the acronym here, AWGN, and I imagine that's something you've seen before. It's additive white Gaussian noise. Of course, Gaussian noise is noise with a Gaussian distribution, and I'm sure you remember this from your probability courses. And Gaussian is a very common distribution that we see, especially in communications, but in other fields as well, because it's a very physical distribution. There are many physical processes that can be very well modeled by a Gaussian distribution. So that is certainly the case for receiver noise, and in communication systems, it's often described by this additive white Gaussian noise. Finally, we have a summation here, and the summation is from the additive white Gaussian noise, so that the received signal is the sum of whatever we transmitted, be it an S0 or an S1, plus the additive noise. So if we've seen the transmission side and some impairments, now we're looking at the receiver side. How are we going to address this received signal in the presence of this noise and try to figure out what was it that was transmitted? And what I'm showing here is what we call a linear sampling receiver, and I'll step you through this receiver to see the various parts of the way we are treating the signal. So the first step is filtering. And filtering is a linear operation. It can be represented by the impulse response in the time domain or by the frequency response in the frequency domain. So it's intuitively what we're doing is we're taking the received signal and we're filtering it to get rid of the noise, because additive white Gaussian noise, very, very wide band. And so what we want to do is we want to throw away the noise, which is nowhere near our signal because it's only going to hurt us. We'll not go into exactly what the strategies are for this filtering, but leave it to say we're limiting noise by this operation. So at the output of the filter, of course, we're going to call this Z of t. And Z of t, we know the mathematical representation of the output of a filter. We take the time domain convolution of the input signal with the impulse response. And in this case, our input signal is the received signal, and it has two parts. It has a part which comes from the signal and a part which comes from the noise. So we're going to make sure that we keep track of this in our mathematical manipulation. And so we see here we have the signal convolved with the impulse response, and we have the noise convolved with the impulse response. So we're going to give names to these different contributions. We're going to call AI the contribution which is coming directly from the signal being filtered, and N of t, which is the noise which is filtered. So we have here an additive white Gaussian noise, and here a filtered version of that. The next step in this linear sampling receiver is the sampling. We saw the linear part, that's the filtering. And now we have this operation here, which is showing that we're taking this continuous time signal and we're extracting from it one number. And this number is this output of the filter at a specific sampling time. And so now we're going to see this, instead of lowercase t, which represents continuous time, we're going to see a capital T, which indicates that once per bit symbol, at which has a duration of capital T, we're going to sample this output of the filter. So again, we can represent this by Z of capital T, and the name we give to this is a test statistic. This test statistic has two components. Again, there's the part that comes from the signal portion and the part that comes from the noise portion. So why do we call it a test statistic? Well, the word statistic comes from the fact that we're going to be doing a statistical analysis of this quantity to understand the strategy that we're using for our detection process or decision process. So the test part is because we're going to test it. We're going to have a look at this statistic, and we're going to make our decision. Was it a 0 that was transmitted, or was it a 1 that was transmitted? We're going to decide by examining this test statistic. And that comes to the last step that we see here, which is what we call the detection process or the decision process. And what we do is we take a comparison of the test statistic with a threshold. And here we've used the Greek letter gamma to represent the value that we're comparing it with. But basically, if this test statistic is bigger than this threshold, we're going to choose a logical 1. If it's smaller than this threshold, we're going to choose a logical 0. That's going to be our decision. And our notation here is that we use the hat symbol for estimation, M hat, M the message that was transmitted, and so that is the output of our linear sampling receiver. So you can think of it as it's like figuring out, was that index a 0 or a 1? That's what our estimate is here.